Good afternoon. My name is Brother Brian Vaccaro, and I'm a Redemptorist seminarian here at St. Gerard's Parish in San Antonio. In my reflection today, I'd like to look at the theme of forgiveness and love when people harm us. During the protests that recently occurred in LA as a result of the George Floyd killing, Brandy Rossi found out that her store was destroyed and looted during those protests. And when she arrived at her store and saw the destruction, she was justifiably filled with anger. But she didn't let that control her. Instead, she painted a message on the outside of her store that said, "We are strong and we forgive you," along with hashtag Black Lives Matter and Humans Matter. The LA Department of Sanitation came along and was cleaning up the city, and part of their cleanup was to cover up graffiti that they found. And unfortunately, her message of forgiveness and love got covered up by the city. So when she returned to her store to continue her cleanup, she found her message gone. And again, she was filled with anger, justifiably so. And how did she respond? This time she put another message up. This one said, "Respect, love, live." And in the other window, "Forgive." Hashtag we forgive you, hashtag humans matter, hashtag BLM, hashtag love. Now, some people may think that her response to having her store looted, her stuff destroyed, is crazy. Why would you not respond in a sense of rage and seeking of vengeance? Or if you can't get vengeance, turning your shoulder, giving the cold shoulder to those people that did it. Because many people, that's their response. But she didn't. She responded with love. She responded with forgiveness. And this is exactly the kind of response that we are challenged to do by the first letter of John, chapter 4, verses 7 through 16. In this passage, God responds to our sinfulness. We as human beings chose to turn our backs to God and say, "God, we don't need you. We'll go it ourselves." We broke the relationship with God by our sinfulness, and God responded. But God didn't respond with vengeance or destruction or turning the cold shoulder to us. No, we look at this first letter of St. John and we read, "In this way the love of God was revealed to us. God sent his only Son into the world so that we might have life through him. In this is love, not that we have loved God, but that he loved us and sent his Son as expiation for our sins." God's response to our sinfulness was love and forgiveness. God sent his Son. God became a human being, lived among us, suffered, died, and rose again in order to re-establish that relationship with God and to give us the opportunity to spend eternity with God in heaven. That was God's response. And the Brandy Rossi's response was one that was very similar, one of love, one of forgiveness. And the challenge has been issued to us that we must also mimic God, as Brandy did, in our response. Because the first letter of John says, "Beloved, if God so loved us, we also must love one another." So the challenge has been issued to us that when we encounter situations where we are harmed or we are wronged in some way, God challenges us to respond with love and forgiveness. And this is not an easy thing to do. It's very easy to say, well, when you get harmed or bad things happen to you, just forgive people and it'll be okay. But in actuality, we know that it's difficult. And we will encounter these struggles throughout our lives. Some of the things that we will encounter are small irritations. We live with people, for example, and they don't change the toilet paper roll when they finish the roll. Or maybe we know people that speak to us to our face and they insult us. Or they go behind our backs so we can't hear them, but they talk down about us or make fun of us. Or maybe we have others that harm us physically in our lives. Or people that, like Brandy, experience the destruction or the theft of their property. All of these are concrete examples of pain and suffering that people experience in their lives. And yet we are challenged by our God to respond with love and forgiveness. So the question we need to ask ourselves is, how will we respond when these situations arise? Will we respond like those who respond with rage and seeking vengeance, or that turn their shoulder to those that have wronged them and say, "You are dead to me. Begone. I will have nothing to do with you"? Or do we take up the challenge that God has issued to us and say, "No, I will try to respond with love and forgiveness. I will try to mimic the behavior that my God has given to me"? Let us take a few minutes today to think about these situations in our lives and to make a resolution to follow God's example.